It's kit unboxing day. Hey everyone, it's Cathy Zielske. Welcome back to my channel and my studio. Today I will be unboxing the latest card kit from Simon Says Stamp. Gonna show you what's inside, gonna think about it, and then I'm gonna make 5 cards for your viewing pleasure. I'll talk more about the kit throughout the video, so to see the unboxing and get started, stick around. That video is coming up next. Commence the unboxing. Oh, all right, we're starting right out. We'll talk about this in a minute, and the return of the pouch. All right, let me get everything out of the box for your viewing pleasure. Hold tight. Say hello to the April 2024 card kit from Simon Says Stamp. This is called Wild and Free Flowers. So we're starting out with a pouch, one of the zipper pouches. Things can go in. And sometimes people ask, why don't you get one of these every time? But the kit is really put together based on the value. And so sometimes we fill out the kit with one of these and sometimes we don't. You're going to get the Simon Says Stamp clear embossing ink. And this is a brand new full-size pad. Lovely embossing ink. We're going to put that there. Oh, sugar. We're going to put that right there, just in case I don't make it through the whole thing without needing a snack. You are going to get a sheet of Simon Says Stamp 3D foam adhesive squares. Now, in the kit, your size and color will vary. These are the black foam squares, which is nice because if you're using darker cardstock, they work really well with something like that. You're going to get a whole sheet, and those that I got are the thicker squares. You are going to get a little metallic dull pink envelope, and these are self-adhesive, which is kind of nice. No licking required. You are going to get a pair of the Simon Says Stamp Fine Detail scissors. These are wonderful scissors for, you've seen them in my video all the time. And actually, sometimes I love to get an extra pair because then I'll just put these in the family bin downstairs once they get a little sticky when I don't feel like cleaning them. But great scissors for fussy cutting, great coating. They're really nice. Well, it's a non-stick stainless steel blade. You're going to get 1 jar of the Simon Says Stamp Ultrafine Gold Embossing Powder. This is a really pretty embossing powder. If you've never tried it, you are going to love it. I use this a lot in my crafting. And let's take a look at the folder that we're getting in this kit. Oh, that looks pretty. You are going to get the Floating Flowers 3D embossing folder. That's really pretty. What a beautiful design. That'll be fun to play with. All right, we're getting very florally here. I suppose it's appropriate as, well, spring is coming. All right, we'll put you there. Ooh, what is this? You are going to get 18 single-sided sheets of a pad called Dreamer from American Crafts. Now that is fun because then you don't have to feel bad about the paper. Oh, that's really pretty just on the cover. Isn't that neat? I love that. You don't feel bad about waste not, want not, because you, oh, and it looks so good with this cardstock. Look at that. Oh my goodness, that is gorgeous. Gosh, I feel like I have the wrong color nail polish to present this today. Look at that foil. Beautiful butterflies. And again, when it's one-sided, there's no stress, right? Oh, look at that. Oh, these are darling. Little foil trim on those cards. That's a lot. That's a lot of really pretty paper. I'm going to show you all of it. Those are cute too. Huh. Look at that. Now, one of the things you should know about the Simon Says Stamp, oh, look at those. That is so cute. Look at the little postage. Oh, gorgeous. Wow. This might, oh my goodness, this might be a good pattern paper video. But one thing to know, if you are a subscriber already to the kit, and any kit that doesn't fit your vibe, you can skip that kit for the month before it ships and bills. So that's something to keep in mind now. And I think that and you can skip as many times as you like. So if you say, oh, this isn't really my, my vibe, but that is gorgeous. Okay, let's take a look at the namesake stamp set, the Wild and Free Flowers. This is a 6x8 stamp set. I would assume there are coordinating dies in the store, but we won't get those in the kit. So let's take a look at our blooms. Oh, these are beautiful. You're going to get 2 beautiful stems and blooms, and then lots of really elegant greetings with deepest sympathy, hello sunshine, congrats, thank you, thinking of you. You're going to get ascending, and then you can do love and hugs, happiness and joy. You can do sending love and hugs, and then during this difficult time, you could make a healing thoughts and prayers. All of that could make wonderful sympathy cards. So that is a beautiful set. Now, I'm not known for my coloring, but I do have some ideas floating in my brain already. Isn't that funny how that happens? Okay, set you aside. For cardstock, you are going to get 1 sheet of the gorgeous Simon Says Stamp Lavender. You're going to get 1 sheet of the Dull Pink. These are both 100-pound cardstocks. And you're going to get 1 sheet of the Nina Classic Crest in Solar White in the 110-pound. So that is a look at all of the kit contents. And as I am wont to do, I am going to let these things percolate in my brain. And when I come back, we will make card number 1. For the first card, I'm going to be super simple, but as soon as I saw the stamp set, I thought, well, I have an idea. And so I think what I'm going to do is just place this down. Now this is on a grit mat, so it's going to hold inside my Misty. And I'm going to take my stamp out, and that stamp is the largest bloom, because that is just gorgeous. Now what I have to decide is, what is going to be the design? Sometimes just the simplest idea can be a great way to start with any stamp set. But what if I do something like this? I want this to have a full bleed, right? And then I'm going to take my greeting and I'm going to make a sympathy card just to start out, because I don't have a lot on hand. And you know, there's always times that we need them. And this little friend is looking like it is just meant to sort of top right there, right? Yeah, I think this is going to be really pretty. All right, so we're going to pick this up. Now let's make sure we're at 2 1/4. I want to put that right back down. I don't want that to move. And because I've never used this before, I'm just going to make sure it's pressed down. I'm going to rub my finger over it. There's always a bit of a coating on stamps from the manufacturing process. And sometimes when you first get one, it might not stamp as well as you think it should. Just give it a little prime. If you've got the time, do the prime. Of course, they stamp better and better as you go. Now, I've got my anti-static powder, and I'm going to want to put this all over the cardstock, just so that I'm removing what I've been handling with my hands, right? We're just going to pop on our anti-static powder, and I'm going to use the clear embossing ink, and I just grabbed my pad because I already have this and use this. But you are going to get this in the kit. Let's ink it up. And these are nicely drawn images. They're not too detailed or too fine. The lines are not too fine. So this should be nice. I'm going to bring this down, and I'll just bring my little pressure tool here and just work my way, really focusing in on the flower. I don't want to press too hard up here with deepest, but again, we're gonna make sure that we get all parts and right to the edge. All right, and I'm going to hit it one more time. And bring that down and repeat. Now let me grab my folded piece of paper to add my powder. Okay, I'm going to lift this up. Oh, that's actually nice. I can see it on here. I don't think you can, but I can definitely see the transfer. Oh yeah, that looks good. Now I'm going to clip it where there is no image. I will clean that in just a second. And let's I'm going to be using that ultra fine gold powder, okay, and we'll just sprinkle it on and see how we did. See how we did. This is just a big embossed panel. That's what this is going to be. And I don't do this enough. You know, like if you have a big, beautiful stamp and maybe you're not the world's best coloring person or painting person, you can make a big, beautiful, shiny gold image with a stamp like this. I mean, look at how pretty that is before it's even melted. All right, we're just putting a little extra on here and tapping that off. Oh, that looks great. All right, I will funnel this back in carefully. Like that. And then I'll take a little Swiffer cloth, which I like to keep my surface from embossing powder getting melted in. And I'll usually just wipe off my paper too. That way it's ready to go. Although I have a feeling that it will only be possibly gold powder today, but we'll see. Never say never. Okay. There isn't like an errant piece of, well, there's a little up here. So here's what I do. I take a dry brush. That's where I was handling it more with my fingers. And this is just a little inexpensive. This is the 3/8 inch angled shader. And what's nice is it lets you really get into some small areas, touch it, and pick up any powder that you don't want. But actually, I think that looks really good. All right, let's get our heat tool warmed up and we'll melt the powder. Let's make sure we got all of it. I mean, look at that. That is just beautiful. What a beautiful panel. All right, I'm going to grab a die. We're going to trim this down just a bit. Actually, I just wanted to show you really quick to clean off my stamp. I'll just take my damp stamp chamois and just go over it. That's really all I do to clean the stamps. And I'll put that back on the acetate sheet. I'm going to trim this down just a little bit, and I'm going to use a panel that is 3 3/4 by 5 from my Waffle Flower layered dies. And the reason I want to do it is because I want to create that beautiful crop, come down just a little. That's all, just a very basic crop. I'm going to take a little Easy C tape, tape that down into place, and I'm going to run this through my die cut machine. I'm going to use my Intercut today because I love embossing with this machine. So we'll put the cutting plate down first. We'll put the platform on top. I need to double check my settings. All right, we're running this through. Like that. And that's going to give me a nice cut, but it's also going to help with a little flattening for any warpage. Oh, isn't that pretty? It's just a really nice crop and all that shine. All right, moving on. I cut a piece of the lavender and I'm going to score this. This is 11 inches by 4 1/4. I'm going to score this right at 5 1/2. We're just going to make a very simple top folding card. And I think lavender is just such a pretty soothing color. I think this is going to be really nice. So we'll fold this down and I'll give this a nice press with my Teflon bone folder. Okay. All right, I've got 4 pieces of the Simon Says Stamp Big Mama foam tape, and we're just going to have a subtle pop-up on this. Keep it very basic, but I like using the foam tape because it helps with any warping from the embossing. All right, let's get you guys out of the way, and we'll take the backers off here. pop this right down. Make sure, yep, I've got the folded top. Forgive my head if it gets in the way just a little bit here. A little fuzzy top there. Put that down. And that is about the simplest card I'm going to make today. But look at how pretty that is. You don't need to do a lot. You don't need to do all the things for every card. Now, I may do cards today with all the things, but I just wanted to start out with a beautiful, elegant sympathy card. And that, my friends, is card 1. Moving on. For the next card, I want to use some pattern paper. And I have to use something from here. So I'm just going to cut some of these pieces apart. And I'm going to get right on the line here. A little head might be in the way. Oh, that's not good. All right. Let me cut all of these pieces apart so I have everything ready. So this might be a little out of the ordinary for me, but I have an idea. let's just, and this is often how it goes with card kits, right? I'm never 100% sure what I'm going to be doing because I don't do anything in advance with these. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to take you out. I'm going to do the different bloom this time, okay? And I'm just going to say we're going to have this be right about here. And I'm going to stamp and emboss on this paper and see what happens, okay? So let's get this primed up. I'll take on my anti-static powder. Okay, just remove static and oil. And again, we'll repeat the stamping process. Bring you down, transfer. Shows up very nicely. I can see that on the pattern. And we'll stamp a second time. And grab my powder and sprinkle it on. See how that looks. Oh, that looks great. I don't need to do that again. That looks lovely. Now it is a little warped, but that's okay because we are going to use a tool, another die. I'm going to get a die and I'm going to trim this down. I'm going to cut this down with my 3.5 by, I think that's 4 3/4 inch. So I'll go ahead and run that through my machine really quick and we'll get this panel trimmed. So now I have this and I can set that aside as well. So I didn't use all of it, but now let me get a note card prepped for this. So I have this idea with these tickets that say admit one, I am going to stamp congrats on the new edition because I think this would make a really awesome welcome baby card. Or maybe someone put a new edition on their house. So let me get set up to stamp this again. I also cut another piece of the heavy cardstock in the same size so that I can shore that up just a little to help with the warping. So let me stamp and emboss and then I will glue these together and we can finish out the card. Actually, we can't do that. It is not, I do not have enough room, so I am going to backtrack. And that's what you do. That's what you do. There's not enough room for that. So I am going to make a very little delicate happy birthday wishes. And I'm going to place it right here. And that way, this little friend can be up a bit, which is kind of what I wanted anyway. I didn't really want it to be right on the bottom. And that, well, that is where I will stamp and emboss. Okay, this is going to work. All right, I went ahead, stamped and embossed that right there. Now I can move on. I'm going to use my electric die cut machine for this step just to show you. I want to make this the same exact size as my backup panel And this panel, which is this one, which is 3.5 by 4 3/4. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to center this, make sure it's nice and straight, like that. And just take a look, make sure it's straight. It's going to cut this, and it will have the exact same, what you call it, marks, embossing. It'll look great. And I just want to make sure that's straight. I'm eyeballing it. I think it's going to be good enough. Okay, we're going to cut this off. And now we should have the same size there and there. And this is going to fit very nicely across the bottom. So let's get these things added. I'll just put some adhesive here. And that's just going to help hold, I don't know where to touch it now. There we go. That's just going to keep the warping to a minimum. So we'll just line you up like that. And it will give it a little bit of dimension. And I think if I wanted to, I could pop that up a little, but I kind of don't want to. I kind of just like the look of that. And then we can pop this whole thing up, and I can just use some of my squares. Okay, let's put some glue on here. And actually, do I want to do this one with liquid? No, I'm going to do tape. Sometimes I don't like to run off the edge onto my mat because I will, well, actually this tape actually shows up because of the color. But now all we have to do is, well, I could bring in my ruler for this just to make sure it's straight. We'll just go, well, let's just drop it and we'll move it after we drop it. So see, now it lines up right a little bit lower. There we go, right there. And it has the gold too. So that looks kind of cool on here. I like that. It's different. And you know, I don't do a lot with the multimedia, so I think this is pretty cool. All right, I'm just going to put a few foam squares because you know what? I got them and I'm going to use them. So I like to use my Place and Pierce wand for this because you can just say like that. Oh, pick it up. And also you can use the darker ones if you get those on in your kit if you have something that isn't see-through. And this is not see-through now because I backed it up. And this is going to be plenty to hold it in place. Oh, heck, I could stick one in there. Why not just go for broke? There we go. All right, and now we'll get all of these little backers off and we'll pop it down. One thing you can do with foam squares, which I do all the time, is I'll put a bead of liquid glue on each square. This is Connect Glue from Gina K. I just like to have, with foam squares, a little bit of float time. I never do this with foam strips, though. I don't know why. It's just a thing. All right, let's not get my scalp in there too much. And we're going to pop you down right on here. And I have a little float time because of the liquid glue. Oh, that looks good. And press like that. Is that fun? I mean, I think this is very different for me. And again, it's another way to use a detailed bloom without doing a whole lot. I don't even think I want to put any bling on this. I just really like the cleanness of this. So that is finished. Moving on. For the next card, I want to use this, because I think that's really pretty, but I want to go with a pattern, or palette, I should rather, but I want to go with a palette that is kind of like the pattern paper palettes, the colors, these cool tones, and so I am going to blend on some goodness. Let's put on some music, shall we, as I blend this color to fill my panel. right, I have a blended panel, and I think I'm going to put a little water on here. Let me get a paper towel just so I can pat it off, and I'm going to take my little guy out here and just do a little bit to get that little water reaction. Okay, and go like that, just for a little more interest on this panel. Now I'm going to bring back my Intricate die cut machine, and we're going to emboss this. The setting that I use, I have it turned to 3D emboss, and then I put it at about -4 or so. And that should be enough to give me the pressure that I need. We'll zoom that out a little bit. Alrighty, let's go like that and pop that in. And for this, I do not need the other plate. I just need the platform. And sometimes it just takes a little time to figure out on your machine which works best. But I want the nubby side, the side that actually sticks up, to be on the bottom because it's going to press up. So that means your empty side goes here, and we are going to press this pattern into this paper. And I think this is going to be just fine. I don't even think, I'm going to trim it down a little bit, but first we'll just get most of it lined up, and we're going to run this through. So spine first, and we're going to go through. It goes through pretty easily. I probably could have gone all the way to -5, but this is going to be nice. I'm going to come back a little and go back through. And then I will show you this beautiful pattern that is now on this cardstock. So look at that, isn't that pretty? It's really lovely. You can see the deboss side here, and that just gives you this beautiful color and texture. And I just think that looks really great. So let me trim this down to be probably 3 3/4 by 5 and figure out what we're going to do for the greeting. I think what I'm going to do for this is make a little belly band, and I've grabbed just a piece of vellum from my stash, and I think I might have to make it a little shorter. Okay, just going to fit it right here into my MISTI, and I'm going to get the thank you, place this down right in the center, and we're going to stamp and emboss this, and I think I'll do for everything if I can fit it and make it look good. I'm going to stamp this first so I can see my placement. Lift that up. And I will use my anti-static powder, but honestly, vellum is really smooth and doesn't seem to grab much. So we'll do this one first. Actually, I should. Now, if there are coordinating dies, which I assume there are, I will be sure to include that link in my supply list. But for now, yeah, that looks pretty good. I might have gotten a little more on that side, so we'll press. And let's take this one off, and I'm going to add my little subtitle because I don't really feel like fussy cutting today. Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't, but I think I'm going to do a thank you for everything, and then we'll just turn this a little, right, like that, and I can see a little more than what you can see here, and we'll just do a little I don't know. It's got those little dip downs. I'm not sure if I love the idea that I would go over the dip downs, but maybe we'll put it right there. Yeah, that won't be bad. All right, pick it up. And let's see. If we don't like it, we can always just go back and restamp just the thank you. Tap. And that looks good. All right. And now let's add our powder and emboss. It would look really nice to do this in silver as well, but you can use gold powder pretty much with anything. And I really do love the way this looks when it's melted, so it will add a little warmth. Oh, that's going to be beautiful. All right. right, so now we have a nice thank you for everything, and I'm going to grab one of my sentiment labels to cut this out. So to finish this out, I just wrapped the belly band around this panel. I put some of my Big Mama foam tape on the back to hold it in place, and I popped on a few sequins. I accidentally lost all the footage. But you know what? Look at it this way. It saves you time, and now we move on to the next card. For the next card, I'm going to stamp and emboss again, but this time I am going to mix it up a little, and I'm going to just grab my white Simon powder because I want to do another technique with this image. I really love this image, and I love not coloring it with markers or pens because, you know, I'm not great with nature. I mean, I'm fine. I mean, I love nature. Don't get me wrong. Nature in general. I just don't color nature as well as I would like. So we're going to get this going, and we're going to add white powder. Pick that up. Oh, it looks beautiful. You can see it in there. And this is just the fine detail white from Simon. Okay. Coming out in a big chunk. There we go. That looks good. I may have to dust a little here just on the sides where my fingers were, but I'm going to go ahead and clean this up, and then we'll melt that. Okay, let's make sure it's all melted. Sometimes you can kind of see that shine, right? All right, that looks good to me. Let me grab some ink. Now I'm just going to do some water and smushing, and I'm going to use the exact same colors that I just used to create a panel. And what this hopefully will do is it will resist, right? We'll get these going here. The design, and we'll see what it looks like. So we're going to start with this on the bottom. And you can do this. You don't have to have watercolor paper for something like this. You can totally use, you know, something like this. We're just going to pick some of that up and get some of that color on. Now, rather than do anything, I'm not going to clean. I'm just going to bring this on and smush. A little more water. I am going to have to let this dry because it's going to, you know, it's not going to necessarily be ready to use right away, but it's going to be pretty. And I'm not going to hit this with a drying tool because if I do, right, it's going to look, I don't want to touch that powder anymore. So I like the way the heather looks in there. So we're going to get a bit more and pop you right in there. Okay. That. Now, this is the Nina paper, right? You could use watercolor paper for something like this, and it might be better, but I am going to have to walk away from this project and just let this air dry a little naturally and allow my paper fibers to get back into the groove, so to speak. I'm going to do just a little more. Love this heather. Okay, a little there. Like that. All right, I think that is quite lovely. I'm going to pick up a little more color, probably right in there. Just want to make sure that lets the image show through. All right, oh, that brought it in nicely. Now I'm going to let that dry. I went ahead and stamped and embossed the With Deepest Sympathy on some of the lavender cardstock, again embossing in white. And I'm going to cut this out also with my sentiment label dies. And I'm going to add a nice little fishtail to it, or a little, you know, little banner edge. So I have that, and then I'm going to take this, oh, it wants to stick. I'm going to take this guy and put this right at the edge for a nice big banner edge. I always have a trouble placing that, but I think, we're mostly on the right side. All right, we'll go ahead and cut that out. All right, that looks really nice, and I'm going to set this aside, and as soon as my other panel is dry, I will be cutting that down a little as well, and then I'll figure out where to trim this. So I am going to trim this panel right about, I want to get right to the base of the leafery and cut a little of that off as well. This is 3 3/4 by 5. So I'll go ahead and run that through. It's dry. Hopefully this will flatten it out. And now I will get a note card prepped for this so we can pop this pretty panel onto a card base. So I've got foam tape on here. I did 5 strips because of the potential for warping. And I'm going to pop this down onto a white note card. And I think the white is the nice call for this because sometimes when I have a panel that is very full of color, I like to offset it with white. And now, I mean, look, that's just so dreamy and it's very serene. And I think what I will do is trim this down just a little bit, right? Get that nice edge here and get it kind of, I'll give it about the same distance from top to bottom, like this. And then I can pop this up with some of the same foam. So let me get that. So I will grab my tweezers here. I am going to use the liquid glue just for that little float time, right? Just a little like that. And I'm going to bring in my 6-inch T-ruler because not only does it help you get it straight, but you can butt it up against the edge and it also will help you to place right on the edge like that. And then bring it up and make sure that everything is in place and lined up nicely. Did I get that straight? It's mostly, no, that's pretty straight. I think my little, that little guy is throwing my eye off that it's just a little bigger that way. All right, let me add something shiny to finish this off. I'm going to use more of the Positively Dazzling Gems. These are the clear, and I just think this is a very elegant way to finish off a sympathy card. And it's going to look so nice with these colors. So, little boop. These are made of glass, boop, and they are so shiny. Let's put you there. We'll put one right on the greeting, boop, and finish it off with this very small one. Boop. So we have 5, a nice odd number going up and down the card, just adding a little bit of shine to this beautiful pattern. Isn't that pretty? Ink smushing is such a great way to make a panel. And again, would it have been better on watercolor paper? Maybe, sure. But you can use, as long as you have a heavy cardstock, and the cardstock in the kit is 110 pound, if you're patient and let it dry, it can work great with this cardstock as well. I think this is my favorite so far, barring any big surprises for the next card. But let's move on to the final card for today. For the final card, to save a little time, I did a little stamping and a little cutting. So I cut apart the postage sheet from the paper pad, and I still have all these left. And I made this little panel, and then I cut a panel out of this piece of the pattern paper, right, that has the metallic foil stamping, printing, whatever thing. Then I took one of the strips from the other sheet that I had cut apart, and I just used my little notch banner to create that part. And then I stamped the word friend. So I am going to try to fussy cut this, and I will speed it up a little, but I will tell you, here's a few secrets for fussy cutting, and I'll bring my smaller scissors in. Whenever I'm going to fussy cut, I like to get as much off with bigger scissors, right? So that it's less to work with. And then you bring in your small fine detail scissors to trim it out. Now, I'm not the world's best fussy cutter. I wish I had the die for this, but I'm going to speed this up and slowly cut it out. right, that is not bad, Cathy. Okay, one of my tips too, once you fussy cut, is you take a bone folder, flip your die over, your die cut, your hand cut, your fussy cut, and just kind of go over some of the edges. And you can kind of, especially with this Teflon bone folder, you can just kind of go around them, and it kind of helps to smooth it all out. So now I have two that I can layer together if I want to. Favorite friend. I don't know yet. I don't know if I'm going to do this. I don't know if I'm going to have the favorite be on top. I haven't decided. But I am going to go ahead and add some foam tape to this friend right here, and I'll get a white note card, and then we will finish this project. All right, I put some of the foam squares from the kit on the back here. I'm going to take the backers off of the Big Mama tape. And of course I want to make sure that I've got this upright, and I'm going to pop this in the upper third so that the pattern or the margin is the same on the top and the two sides, like that. So it's a little bigger down here. And then I think what I'm going to do is take this Big Mama foam tape here and just do, let's see, how long are we there? We're pretty good. I want this to have a little pop, but then, oh yeah, I got it right there. Oh, good. And then the other foam squares, the ones that I got in my kit, are thicker, and so they will pop up a little bit higher. So it'll have a little bit of dimension in different orders. All right, where are my tweezers? I am going to put the liquid glue on here though, just because I want to make sure that I get this in the right place. And I have a little tiny bit of float time. You could make 3 cards that look just like this one because of, in here, see, I'm going to use that little edge right there. Drop that down. Bring that up. Yep, that looks good. And now this guy is going to pop just a little bit like that. I mean, this is just kind of a simple card made with pattern paper, and then you would, write a little note to your favorite friend. This is cute. And the black doesn't show through on here, but also this is a little bit thicker. And of course, if you had the die, it would have that nice little kind of finished edge, and I don't have the die, but I have enough so that I can have a little bit popping right like that. I actually think this is really cute. So you've got all that extra shine, right? This is all from the pattern paper kit. So that's just one simple pattern paper card. And there is so much good paper in this kit. I mean, I don't know. I really do think this is pretty. And I want to save all of these pieces because there's just so much. I mean, look at that. Didn't even touch that. And that's so fun for people who love that vintage vibe. But I think the papers are fantastic. I think the stamp set is very fun. And that's my finished card. Let's take a look at all the cards together. So here's a look at the 5 cards I created today, starting with very simple to more complicated, I think, as it went. Let's just review. Now, this is something you can do with any big, beautiful floral image. If you don't feel like coloring, just get some beautiful embossing powder, whether it's gold or silver, stamp it, crop it so that the image bleeds off of the panel, right? And then add your greeting. I really like how that turned out. This card also, when you have a beautiful pattern paper, I mean, this just looks like a beautiful ink blend that I created, right? But it's not, it's just pattern paper. And then adding in some of these cute little Admit One little theater tickets. I think these are so cute. They fit perfectly on there. And then a minimal greeting, happy birthday wishes. Love that one and how that turned out. And then for this one, I wish you could, well, you can kind of see there. See when you look at it in that dimension, when you look at it straight on, you don't see as much of that amazing emboss, but it is so beautiful. And then here, just a little belly band. If you don't have the dies, you can always do a little vellum strip and tuck it behind, and just add a little bit of shine with some gems. This card is still my favorite. I really love how this turned out. The large stamped embossed image and then the ink smush, right? You take colors that follow each other on the color wheel so that you know you're not going to create mud. And every time you dip and keep adding and layering, the color and dimension in that background just gets so dreamy. Of course, you got to let it dry. I would suggest trying it also with watercolor paper for a whole different result, because watercolor paper is designed to hold water. And the last one, just some papers cut apart and put to use. And again, I love the gold foil stamping of the, I don't know if it's called foil stamping, but whatever it is that inlays on the paper with the gold, that is so pretty. And again, so much good paper in there. And with this one, I have, these 2 sheets left that I could cut in half and have 2 more cards using other papers from the kit. And that, crafty friends, is today's unboxing and card make video. You can become a subscriber to the Simon Says Stamp Card Kit today. They have recently made some great improvements to the Card Kit program, including the ability to add things to your order before your order ships each month. And you can skip any month that doesn't appeal to you as well, and there's no penalty. Plus, you can cancel at any time, but the kit itself is such a great value because all of these items in the kit separately would cost quite a bit more than the price of the kit. I will have links to the subscription program in my YouTube description and my supply list, and a blog post as well to see more photos of these cards and to get any more info you might be looking for. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, please become one today, and I appreciate you for watching. Thanks so much, and I'll see you back here with more card projects soon. If you like kit unboxings, check out my 2 most recent ones in the thumbnails below, and I'll see you in those videos.